Hello everyone! I know it's been a long time since I've posted a video. I've just been busy as can be with, graduating from college, moving, starting my career, all that YouTube has just kind of been put on the back burner. However, enough about the past. Well, sort of. I bought this car about a year ago, so I guess this is technically the past. However, I have bought what I want to say is the cheapest Fiat 500 Abarth in the country. Now, I bought this car about a year ago, last April, and a bit of a backstory, the C6 Corvette Grand Sport, that has been sold, that is gone. I just didn't drive that very often. In between, I bought a Harley-Davidson V-Rod Muscle, which is, I want to say, the coolest Harley probably ever built. And as a result, I just wasn't using the Corvette. However, living in Southwest Florida, we get some rain every now and then, and as a result, I needed to have a car. And just having, some $5 crazy speeder wasn't really my thing, so I didn't want to spend a huge amount of money, and ended up finding this, which I think is probably the best bargain that you could really get as far as a more modern hot hatch. This car is actually for sale right now for $6,000, so $6,000 definitely has to make it the cheapest Fiat 500 Abarth in the country. Now, of course, that's what I start off saying is Abarth, just a way to properly say this car. A lot of us say Abarth or something like that, but the H is silent, so it's actually pronounced Abarth. So this is a pretty cool car. Some of you may remember that I used to own a Mini Cooper S. It was a 2005, it was an R53 quite a while back, and I loved that car. Even when I had the Corvettes and all that, I often mentioned that car, and it was a blast to drive. This is just like that, super, super fun. Now this is a 2013. It's pretty well equipped as well. I'll kind of go around the car and show you what it's about and mention some cool things in case you don't know about it. So this is obviously based off the regular Fiat 500. Abarth is the M division or AMG of Fiat, if you will. They make this, the 500, and they make the new Fiat 124 Spider. They make an Abarth version, which is essentially a Miata, but they make an Abarth version of that as well. It's got a 1.4 liter engine, 4-cylinder obviously, but it's got a pretty good sized turbo on that, and that's how this differs from a regular 500. Now, the Mini I had was supercharged. This is turbo. So this is my first, but not last, turbo car that I've owned, and I love it. I'm all about the turbos. The Mini made that cool supercharger whine. This thing, on the other hand, makes all kind of cool noises. Now, the Abarth is kind of special in regards to the fact that it's, I want to say, the only car for sale that doesn't come with a muffler stock. So there's no muffler on them. So if you ever heard these things, they sound pretty loud. Now this one may or may not have some work done to it. Essentially full exhaust, air intake, blow-off valve, intercooler, short shift kit, and some tune controller on there. So this is making quite a lot more power over stock. Stock they are 160. So you're over that 100 horsepower per liter, which is kind of cool. And the stock 500 only made 100 horsepower. So this is 60% more. And just think about that, percentage-wise, it's not only really impressive, but if you have, let's say, a 400 horsepower car, like a Corvette, the Z06 makes about 60% more. But if you already have 400 horsepower, that extra, the extra 200 or so isn't so substantial. If you're only dealing with 100 to begin with, 60 is a huge difference because you have so much a smaller beginning. So this is a lot more power than the regular 500. Now, I've never driven a regular Fiat 500. I drove the Fiat Turbo, which is in between. It's about 130 horsepower. Kind of a fun fact, in Europe, there's two Abarths. There's a regular Abarth, and there's the Abarth SS. Now, we get the Abarth, but in America, the Abarth is actually the SS, and the Turbo is the regular Abarth in Europe. That might be a little confusing, but so this is basically the upgraded one in Europe, but this is the one we get stock, if you will, if that made any sense. Now, this one in particular, pretty well equipped. We have the nice black metallic paint, which looks great. We get the upgraded 17s, much better. I think these wheels really set it off. We have the stripe package, which looks fantastic. There's all kind of different colors you could choose from. One kind of neat thing too is there's no Fiat badges in the car anywhere. Only Abarth, and the Abarth badge is pretty neat looking too. Particularly on the front. We also have these cool Abarth badges with the Italian flag on the side. But on the front, this badge actually doubles as an air intake. If you can see that, there's actually holes here and they're actually functional. So it helps cool the engine with the badge, which is pretty neat. So we have the white and black contrast, which is pretty cool looking. I'll show you inside as well. So inside we have these sort of sport seats, if you will. Some little cool opening there, neat look. Flat bottom steering wheel, which I'm definitely about. Here you can see this is the boost controller. We get a boost gauge in there, which is pretty cool as well. 3 pedals, of course. Now the Abarth is also one of the few cars that is actually sold manual only when it came out. So this is 2013, they came out in 2012, so it wasn't manual only initially. Obviously they didn't sell it too well, so they threw an automatic. So if you want to buy a 2018 car or 2019, they are available with automatic, but back then it was manual only. Now I've been talking about this exhaust note, so why don't I start it up? So you can hear, it does have a pretty good sound. I gotta be honest, I want to say it's even louder than my Corvette was, and that car was straight pipe. But this thing is as well, and it sounds mean. I mean, especially on the cold starts, this thing is just. Anyone who says that turbo cars don't sound good have never heard the sound of a Fiat 500 Abarth. I'll give it a little bit of a rev. Not bad for a 1.4 liter 4-cylinder. I mean, maybe blow off valve a bit there too. Pretty good sound. I gotta say, it's mean, and it's really funny driving this car around because all the time, you know, people will tend to look at the car. Sorry about that. So it's pretty funny to be driving this thing around because obviously they hear it before, you know, they see it, and they'll turn and look, and they kind of do a double take of, that's coming out of that car? No way. And it's very unpretentious, you know. With the Corvette, I'd have some people, you know, don't want to look or whatever because oh, it's, you know, it's a Corvette, whatever, who cares, you know, some kid in the Corvette. But with this car, it's a Fiat 500. It's a little cute car, you know. It's really unpretentious, so no one looks at it like, oh, this, you know, douche with his loud car. They just think it's so funny that this little car makes this really loud sound. I was at a car wash one day, and there was a brand new C7 Grand Sport there, and I started up and drove around, and the lady stopped me. She said, "How does your little car sound better than my Corvette?" And it was the funniest thing. So these things have a really good sound to them. Fun as can be. They really are like a little go-kart. You know, like I mentioned, I love driving the Mini Cooper. This thing I think drives better. Now keep in mind the Mini was an R53, so it was an older one. I'm sure the newer ones with the turbos are really nice. And obviously I believe that, you know, the BMW build quality is better than what FCA is putting out. But this is a really fun car. I loved having this for a while. It is time to go. I just have too many vehicles right now, and this is unfortunately one of the ones that needs to leave. But it's just a cool car, and I definitely wanted to make a video about it before I got rid of it. And I just think it's a really cool thing, and you know, for $6 grand, it's a steal. It really is. I remember when these cars first came out, I wasn't a big fan of the Fiats. I thought they looked a little girly, but the Abarths definitely had a cooler look to them. What I think is cool about this is, if you look at a Mini Cooper S or so, it doesn't look all that different from a regular Mini. Versus the Abarth looks a lot different. I think this car really sticks out with these, you know, hot hatch bits. You know, your more aggressive front here, front bumper, cooler wheels, a little better suspension, this cool side skirts, dual exhaust, a spoiler. It just really sticks out and just screams hot hatch, which I'm really a big fan of, obviously. And so I wasn't the biggest fan when this car first came out, and then I saw one driving next to me. I had my windows down, and it just rolled through, and I heard that exhaust note, and I was like, man, that's a good sounding car. And went to the dealership to go look at one, and it was a red and black one. There was a red and black contrast. And the second she started in the dealership, I was just about sold. I remember watching a review. I want to say it was from Everyday Driver. It's a great show, and if you guys haven't seen them, definitely check their videos out. And in the review of this car, one of them mentioned something about, you know, never buy a car purely for the exhaust note, but if you do, buy this car. You know, it does have such a really cool sound to it. Anyhow, so at the dealership, the car was about $28,000 back in 2012. This is when they first came out. And just look about it, I bought this car last year, so just 4 or 5 years later, it was $20,000 off. And I gotta say, for value, this is definitely one of the best cars that I purchased. It's just cool as can be, everyone loves it. It's a hoot to drive. And this is basically it. This is the Fiat 500 Abarth. Really great car. If I have a chance, I'll try to do a review of it. But I feel like I kind of touch bases on a few things here and there. It's just a cool car. I really like it. I'm happy to have it. We'll probably miss it. It is just a really cool thing to drive around, and that is basically it. The cheapest Fiat 500 for sale, 2013 Fiat 500 Abarth for just $6 grand. Awesome, awesome car. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. I will hopefully see you soon, although with the scheduling, who knows if that might actually be the case. But I really appreciate you watching, and I will see you later.